Hi, this is Tom. Welcome to my channel. I've been doing a series of videos discussing how to use ChatGPT to do Midjourney prompts. And recently, Midjourney introduced version 6.0. And previous to this, I've been looking at some painting type images, and I decided to start looking at some photographs. So I have some images that I'll show from version 6.0. So these two are both from the same prompt as is this one. And here we have a different style. I got a list of 100 photographers and randomly chose 10 different photographers to do images from. And what I found from the images, my impression of the images is that they're very, very good. The improvement is continuing. This is, if you look at this image, it's I can't tell that this isn't an actual photograph. And also similarly with the paintings, they've gotten much better. That, for example, this is an image of a painting, and I would have trouble seeing that this wasn't an actual painting. Whereas in 5.2, it was easier to see that because, for example, in 5.2, you wouldn't have the sky be as nuanced as this is. They'd have like a whole um, swath of just a single color of blue. And here it's more like an actual painter would paint with, a number of different colors. So I've noticed that both on the painting type images and the photograph type images that they become more realistic. The only caveat I would have on the negative side would be that at times the style is not as accurate as 5.2 was. Sometimes it's more accurate though, but here's an example of a style that in 5.2, this is Beatrix Potter. If you ask 5.2 for an image of Beatrix Potter, she wrote the Peter Rabbit books and did the artwork for it, you'd get something that would look more like this. Whereas here, the image looks like, to my eye, just a 19th century French landscape painter is sort of what it looks like. Doesn't look like Beatrix Potter. So there's a few instances like that. However, 6.0 is still an alpha. It's not an actual release. So I expect that they will address these images. So that's the only sort of caveat I found on the negative side. Other than that, I'd say it's overwhelmingly positive. It's amazing to me on just how good a lot of these images are. Like this one, for example, this looks to me like an actual human painting. It's getting more and more difficult to tell what's an actual AI creation versus a photograph, for example. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to do, was to share some of the images themselves from Midjourney 6.0. And a second thing I wanted to do was to discuss some on how I use ChatGPT to make these prompts. So the first thing I did was I gave it a user manual. So here's the user manual, and this is from my blog, which I will give the reference to the URL in the description of this video. And you can copy and paste this blog post to get the user manual. This user manual would be useful to read oneself as a human prompter, And you can also give what was designed to give to ChatGPT at the beginning of a session. So this is what I did. This was a new session. I gave it the user manual, and then I told it to say okay, and I would tell it what to do next. It said okay, and I gave it a list of photographers. And the photographers, I had it find a list of photographers. If you just ask it for a list of 100, it can give you back 100, but it would tend to give you 100 in alphabetical order and maybe something like A through H. So it has some difficulty coming up with an actual representative list. So I found it more effective to find an actual list that exists. So I found one and used that. And then I asked it to, well, I guided it to choose 5 random, actually 10. I did 10 random photographers, which I just used pi 314159 to grab the indices from the list. Okay, so 3 things I wanted to discuss was one was the just looking at the images for the photographs. Second is how to use ChatGPT to do these 6.0 prompts, which again, you can give it this user manual. This manual has a lot of example prompts, and then that can guide ChatGPT. So in the instructions, I just told it to read the manual and to pay special attention to the example prompts. And then it created prompts that were like that. And then I wanted to go to resources that you can use. So where I got the information for the user manual was from Prompt Chat, which is a discussion room in the Midjourney Discord server, which you can find. You can just click on Midjourney and make sure that you have show all channels checked, because by default it's unchecked. At least on mine it was unchecked. And you want to make sure that that's checked so that you can see everything that is available. And the prompt chat is where Midjourney itself suggested that you go to ask questions, to share information on what you have for 6.0. And something I think is terrific is that they have moderators that will answer questions that you have. And this is where I got the information for the user manual that I put together. It was from some facts that one of the moderators had put together and gave me a reference to. Okay, speaking of facts, there's a, I'm not sure what this is. If this is a discussion room, whatever, a channel or whatever, or it says community forums. Anyway, there's a thing called prompt facts. So this is another place you can go to get information. But the number one place to go to would be the prompt chat discussion room. And then there's a version 6 showcase that can also be useful, where people are showing prompts they've been creating with 6.0. And a lot of times people will share the prompts. Like people will say, this is awesome. Any chance I could get the prompt? And a lot of times people will share the prompt. So this was a prompt that the guy asked for, Hellboy Family Guy style. He said, that's it? And the response, yep. So you can get ideas for prompts from that. And then another good resource is the daily theme. So the daily theme will have a word or words that you have to include in your prompt. And this is a place where you find lots of, I would suspect that this is the most visited channel of all the channels. And people will just, put together prompts for whatever the daily theme is. So you can get lots of ideas from that. And then the last resource that I'll mention is a website called midlibrary.io. So this is really useful to know. Midlibrary.io, and this has thousands of different styles that have been cataloged and done in different ways by uh, artist, illustrator, photographer, and all sorts of different categories. And so you can click on photographers, for example, and here's Ansel Adams. And then by default, it goes to 5.2, but the upkeeper of the site is quickly adding version 6 prompts. So you'll find that a lot of these have been updated and have version 6.0. Whoops, clicked on the wrong thing here. Uh, have version 6.0 prompts that you can look at. Well, a lot of information here. I hope you found it useful. And thanks for watching my channel. Until next time.